OnePlus 15 has just been released and it is a direct competitor to the Galaxy S25 Ultra. The version I have has a 7300 mAh battery, which is 46% larger than what you get on the Galaxy S25 Ultra. I'm going to test that in a day in the life video together with the camera system. I also found a big flaw in the OnePlus that no one is talking about. We'll get into that later. I am Mo and I started my day in Vienna, the capital of Australia, in the morning. Both phones were charged to 100%, set to the auto brightness, and connected to the same 5G network. The OnePlus 15 display is bright under direct sunlight, but it does not have the anti-reflective properties that the Galaxy and iPhone 17 have. It does, however, come with a pre-installed screen protector. The Galaxy S25 Ultra is also bright, but the good thing is the anti-reflective display, which makes the screen more visible in daylight. I put both phones on Google Maps to navigate my way to the city since I was meeting a friend for coffee. The video that I took from my train on the Galaxy is on the vivid side, whereas on the OnePlus 15, there is no vividness and the colors are more muted. I took the train and half an hour later I arrived at Albertina near the Vienna Opera House. OnePlus is not using Hasselblad color science anymore, but the photos still have a warm tone, whereas the Galaxy leans towards green and is more neutral. Maybe in this ultra-wide shot, it is more visible what I'm talking about. OnePlus is warm, while Galaxy has a colder tone. But as you saw in the video with the Sony camera, OnePlus is more accurate here. This is a video I took of the Vienna Opera House with my Sony camera using accurate colors. Once again, with the main lens, the OnePlus 15 replicates those better, and the same can be said about the ultra-wide lens. It seems in video the OnePlus is more exposed than the Galaxy. Usually, I'm not a big fan of OnePlus videos, but it seems in this version they are doing a decent job. On 10x zoom, OnePlus appears more processed and less detailed though. On zoom pictures, OnePlus video is more processed, but not in a bad way. It seems they are applying AI and smoothing algorithms more aggressively. The downside though is that sometimes, like in this picture, the photo will look a bit fake on OnePlus and a bit artificial. For human subjects, the OnePlus photos have a bit more of a filmic look. For selfies, apart from color science, OnePlus has a wider focal length, which is always nice to fit more into the frame. I really hope Galaxy finally widens the selfie camera next year. I arrived at Josef Borot's to have a coffee and breakfast with my friend. We had a nice coffee and we loved the swan shape on our lattes. After the coffee, the OnePlus is still at 99%, while the Galaxy is at 97%. It was getting a bit cold, and we went to take some more photos where I found something rather disappointing. The photos from OnePlus turned out foggy and blurry, both with the main lens and also with the telephoto lens. At first, I thought the lens was simply smudgy, but after a closer look, we realized the lens was foggy from the inside, a common structural issue with some Chinese phones, and this problem can happen in close to freezing temperatures with high humidity. Therefore, I knew we had to go inside for the fog to go away. So we went to Zara Home to find some decorations. The fog cleared indoors, and in this picture, you can see that even though OnePlus does not have Hasselblad colors anymore, you still get this unique orange tone on the skin. Maybe this telephoto picture shows what I mean more clearly, where the brand color looks more orange on OnePlus. The highlights are also a bit of a mess. The same goes for the ultra-wide shot. This is not necessarily a deal breaker or something bad, but it is something to be aware of. The orange and warm color can also be seen to an extent in the videos you take. My friend had to go home and I went to the park nearby to capture the autumn vibe in Vienna. Fortunately, the fog didn't appear on the camera for some time, even though it was cold outside. Vienna has a Christmas vibe these days, and I can't wait to explore the Christmas market. Here you can see OnePlus on the ultra-wide camera is exposing the photos more, so the picture looks brighter. For stabilization, I do feel Galaxy is doing a bit better. Also, OnePlus video has a visible exposure shift, which can be distracting sometimes. Generally, I find OnePlus pictures more vivid compared to the Galaxy, and here once again, unfortunately the fog on the camera came back, so I couldn't continue taking pictures and I headed back home. Right now, the Galaxy has 85% battery left, and OnePlus has 91% battery. I was walking my way to the train station, and I also tracked my activity with Komoot. By the time I got to the train, the Galaxy had 83% and the OnePlus had 89% battery left. When I got home, it was already dark, and I took this picture with the main lens. I don't think either phones managed the light very well, but I was impressed that OnePlus didn't flinch even though it has a smaller main sensor. On the telephoto lens, Galaxy picked the right white balance, while the OnePlus made everything too yellow. On the ultra-wide lens, the Galaxy once again did a better job, both in terms of quality and white balance. In video though, I was pleasantly surprised with both phones, and regardless of the fact that there were almost no light, they did a decent job. When I got home, I let both phones upload all photos to Google Cloud and also connect to Wi-Fi. Now, the Galaxy has 56% and the OnePlus has 72% battery left. Galaxy is sporting the Snapdragon 8 Elite, while OnePlus is running the Snapdragon 8 Elite Generation 5, which is new. And there is no surprise that it gets a better single-core and multi-core score, even though the difference is marginal. Both phones are running Android 16. Galaxy is running OneUI 8, while OnePlus is running ColorOS 16, since it is a Chinese version. I put the link of where I bought the phone from in the description. The site is called Trading Shenzhen. Both of them look very similar. Even widgets and animations look almost identical with minimal differences. OnePlus is clearly more similar to iOS though. For example, when you play music, instead of the Galaxy bar, you have a dynamic island on top. Or if you go to the quick settings, it is almost an exact copy of the latest version of iOS. The Galaxy is a bit more boxy than OnePlus. I honestly really like the design of the OnePlus, especially with the sand color. I also prefer the curvy corners. One thing that I love about the Galaxy though is the S Pen. I always use it to write notes. For example, the note that asks you to consider subscribing to the channel. I buy these phones with my own money, and that's why I can stay unbiased. We are trying to go from 72k to 80k subscribers by the end of November. One thing that I do prefer on OnePlus over Galaxy though is the display. It has a much higher PWM frequency, which helps protect your eyes from eye strain. And if you are PWM sensitive, this is super important. Also, I prefer that OnePlus is slightly smaller. They both weigh the same, but OnePlus has a smaller display, which makes it easier to use. To run the batteries a bit more, I connected both phones to talk to each other over Google Meet and also ran the Aquarium WebGL in the background. I also ran the application that I wrote that measures battery temperature, and through this stress test, the Galaxy was always a few degrees hotter than OnePlus. So if you are after performance and thermals, OnePlus is an obvious choice. By the end of the test, the Galaxy had 26% battery left, while OnePlus had 53% battery left. That's an impressive result from OnePlus. I'll do a battery test soon with all other flagships, so stay tuned. Overall, Galaxy is an easy recommendation. It has a nice anti-reflective display, the camera is decent with good processing, I like using the S Pen, and you get long-term software support. The OnePlus has an impressive battery life. The performance is slightly better, and it has better thermals, but the downside is the camera, where the color science is very unique, and I also found that the camera fogs in certain temperatures, at least on my unit, which can be a production issue. Another interesting option you can go for is the Vivo X300 Pro or the iPhone 17 Pro Max. If you want to know how those phones compare to each other, watch this video next. Thanks for tuning into Tecmo, and I will see you in the next one.